We are joined by Dorman to recap UFC 220. He tells us that he was working along with Volkan Oezdemir's camp. We'll also be looking at the dangers and what can be changed for weight cutting to fix the problems. We'll be joined by Glen Ellis for that. Our obviously Fight Talk quickfire news. The big news of MMA this week is Conor stripped. Is Khabib Ferguson the real title? Is TJ taking on DJ the super fight? Keep watching.
Is it because you just wanted to wait till the fight was over? Like, you truly believe that you're the greatest of all time?
Fuck yeah, I do. No one's ever defended it 3 times.
Nobody has ever defended it 3 times. Stipe Miocic is the most decorated UFC heavyweight champion of all time. It's the right way to open the show, but welcome along to obviously Fight Talk episode 99.
Ooh, we're getting close. Ooh, the nerves.
I reckon I could pass a polygraph. Got my ass is that tight right now.
John Jones, is that you?
John Jones! Get your shit together. This is OFT with Robert Pollan and Noel O'Keefe. This is 99. A shout out as always to Fight Star Ireland, The Fighter's Choice, MMAmix.com. They're obviously good because they're with obviously Fight Talk. And feelsupreme.co.uk. Use the code Fight Talk, 10% off. Simples. Weekend and a half of fights, Rob.
Yeah, yep.
Couple of surprises, couple of wrong picks, but yeah, it was a big weekend. It was a great night of fights. Yeah, it was a weekend that it shows there's levels and experience in this game, and they were showcased at the highest level. Yeah. We will be speaking with Dorman later on, breaking them fights down. We'll obviously have your Fight Talk quickfire news as we always do. We're going to be speaking with, this is one I have to say I'm really looking forward to it. It's an interesting way to come at this. We were talking about how can we talk about weight cuts and the issues of weight cutting and the effect it has on fighters. We didn't want to just talk about it with me and Rob, not to discourage just me and Rob, but we wanted to have a real expert opinion and somebody who knows what they're talking about. So we reached out to Glen Ellis. Who is Glen Ellis? Glen Ellis, you'll have seen him with us before in backstage interview. Glen Ellis is a advanced I've lost it, Rob, but he's an advanced medic. Basically, he's a advanced paramedic with Code Blue Medical Services. Glen is backstage at most MMA shows here on this island. He does nothing but look out for fighter safety. He's at the forefront of that, and we're going to be speaking with Glen a little later on in and around weight cutting and the state of Irish MMA here, safety wise. We're going to be joined as well with talking about the news. We're going to be joined by Dan Mulvaheady as well. So he's back.
He's waiting.
He's waiting on the line. So let's not let him wait any longer.
Yeah. Let's
get straight to it. 99 starts here, which are obviously Fight Talk quickfire news. A little different. 3 minutes on the clock because there's 3 of us. Do the maths. So welcome back to obviously Fight Talk, and we're delighted to say it's almost like a homecoming in some ways. Yeah. That is the devilishly good looks of Daniel Mulvaheady on the screen.
Nah, how we doing, gents? Yeah, the beard's back, Rob.
Yeah.
The beard's back. It's too cold this time of year.
I know, man. I'm growing it out as well. Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at it.
Yeah.
So's Noel.
Noel's getting there. You know, no knows about the ginger beard.
Yeah. Well, I always say I don't trust an Irishman if they don't have a tint of ginger. I'm convinced Rob dies it. Either that or the milkman out in the north side is an old Italian. and now Mrs. Palin has been dabbling with the Italian.
Think of the name.
Yeah. Roberto
it's actually French.
Palano.
It's French.
Either that or, your mum was around the chipper. She didn't have enough money for the spice bag. And that's spice bags, Chinese. Anyway, we're ranting. But Dan, it's great to have you. We missed that alright, you fucking slag on the show. You know what I mean? We need that
I never say that.
We need that bit of lunch. You're always just saying Goddard's going to tap like a bitch. I know. The usual. We have to start that up again. Obviously, Fight Talk quickfire news. This is where there's 3 of us, so we're going to have 3 minutes.
An extra minute.
To talk about each subject. So, for example, when I read it out, you have 3 minutes, and this is the example. UFC middleweight champion Robert Whittaker, who has not fought since he defeated Yoel Romero in July, won't be fighting for the foreseeable future. UFC President Dana White revealed the extent of Whittaker's injury on Saturday. To quote White, he had staph infection in his stomach. From what I understand, it wasn't treated properly and started to eat away at parts of his organs. He's in a serious condition, so it's going to be... I didn't get this when I was reading it originally. It's going to be a minute before he's back.
Yeah, it's a phrase. It's going to be a minute.
Never heard that. I think hopefully it turns around quick, but that stuff is life-threatening if not treated the right way. So Robert Whittaker, staph infection. It's crazy that somebody at such a high level like Robert Whittaker, when you get staph, doesn't treat it correctly.
Well, it's only speculation. He didn't treat it. Obviously, clearly didn't treat it correctly because he still got it. But for what he mostly thought, he treated it right or got the wrong advice, so to speak. But man, in your stomach, that is. Yeah. I remember Kevin Randleman's one on his leg. I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
On his quad or his hamstrings. I mean, that was nasty enough. But to have that kind of infection on your stomach, that is pretty bad. And I guess he should be thankful that, and I'm sure they will, that UFC would get him or try to get him the best medical attention that he needs and stuff. So best of luck to him, and hopefully he gets well soon, man.
Yeah, like he won the title pretty, like what was it, July, wasn't it? He said July he won the title, and then he had the whole thing where it was the interim title. He wasn't sure what fight was going to come next. He wasn't sure if he was going to get GSP. He got Rockhold at home. So it's kind of a bit of a bad look now, because he finally got his fight. He's finally the champion, and now he's going to be out for, I don't know how long. He's probably going to be out for a long time. And the middleweight division, like if you look at that main event in Perth, it's Rockhold versus Romero, which is a good fight. Yeah. But man, it's just something. It's not. It doesn't feel special. It doesn't feel like there's something about that fight, especially where it is.
I actually like it. Yeah,
no, I like it, but it's a weird fight. It's a weird one.
Like the thing with staph infection as well is it's going to deplete your immune system as it is.
Yeah.
It is an infection that attacks the body. So the fact that it's in the stomach, you'd wonder Whittaker eating wise. Even the simple things like that, like the effect that it's going to take on his body and just deplete his body, be it muscle mass or anything like that. Infections are, and especially staph, life-threatening.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people, when the news came out that fight was off, we joke, interim, but wow, that is a serious injury that needs to be treated, and it's quite a common. Like you had Kevin Lee when he fought Tony Ferguson, he had staph. You've seen it on his chest. So, like,
really serious one,
surely if a fighter turns up in the gym and it's that visible staph infection, like I'm sure it can be underlying. Shouldn't be allowed in the gym.
Do you know what though? Not to the extent of staph, but even things like ringworm.
Yeah.
Because you get it from grappling with people who are not clean, or you can have dirty mats, etc. It's amazing how many people don't know what ringworm looks like, or what a fungal infection is, and what does it look like, and it can obviously spiral out of control and get to a bigger virus and could affect you bad. But it's amazing. Maybe people don't know what staph looks like or what the symptoms are. And, well, not so much the UFC level kind of guys, but the lower level guys, would be nice if someone could, maybe do a talk or the promotion or the trainers are clued up on what the side effects, and what the clues are that you may have staph infection, So that's one big thing. But I do agree with you, Noel. It's not just as if he's got a shoulder injury or a leg injury, etc. He can do other specific training while he's nursing that injury. Like you said, his immune system, his gut, etc. He might not be able, he might be bedbound for a good couple of weeks. So it's not as if he's got a bad shoulder, but he can still do squats and keep himself in relatively good shape. So it'll be interesting to see how he comes back, but I'm sure he will.
We'll allow him go over that time there, Rob. He's back. It's like Chael being
Don't
nice.
worry, I didn't even hear it.
Yeah, you were blabbing on there. You were overhead. You've obviously missed us. Will Demetrius Johnson next title fight be against UFC bantamweight champion TJ Dillashaw? It seems like all parties involved are interested. Speaking during a recent Metro PCS Q&A, Johnson said, recovery's going good. I had a rotor cuff surgery. Oh, God, the words. Labrum and joint clean out. After 11 title offences and 12 championship fights, the old dog needs to get some rehab. I got it cleaned up. 6 weeks recovery, where we can go strong again, and hopefully TJ Dillashaw can get this match done. Hopefully July, International Fight Week on a big card. Are we happy with the fight? Do we think it's the right fight? Is it too early for a super fight for TJ? He's just won the belt. Is it going to hold up the bantamweight?
I think fans want to see it. As a fan, I'd like to see that fight, you know, because everyone's always been questioning Demetrius. You know, obviously, clearly is the pound for pound, but has he had that type of caliber of challenge? And you know, TJ Dillashaw can certainly deliver that. And as a fan, I'd love to see that fight. You know, them two guys just to go at it, and you know, and hopefully, touch wood, it does happen, because you know this, so to speak, fight week in July. The UFC always put on in Vegas. That's one of the biggest times to put this fight on, which I think will generate a lot of interest and I think a lot of pay-per-view sales as well.
It's a brilliant fight, but I just think what has happened in the UFC, and I suppose you could say MMA, but in the UFC in the past 2 years or so, it's kind of sours to me. I don't know, there's something about the fight because of TJ just winning the title and moving down. It'd be different if TJ has had about 3 or 4 defenses as division and then moves down. It makes sense to me, but right now it just doesn't make sense. He wins the title, he goes down. The only thing I will say is if you look at the UFC rankings or even the UFC divisions, in both divisions, there isn't really anybody that jumps out for next challengers. Like, you have maybe Jimmy Rivera is the next logical challenger at bantamweight. Flyweight, like Joseph Benavidez is still the number one guy in the division apart from Demetrius. Henry Cejudo.
Dominic Cruz comes back, that's it.
Dominic Cruz comes back, but what's the likelihood? That the only thing I'm saying is that maybe looking at the division, it makes sense in that way. But like, it is a super fight in a way, but it's also, this guy's just won the title. It doesn't really jump out at me. It's a brilliant fight, don't get me wrong.
That's I agree with that. It is a great fight. And I really do. I'm not like, if the fight's made, I'll be pumped for it, and breaking it down will be amazing. Because there'll be so much technique to break down with Brendan Dorman and stuff. But like,
just sick of it.
Just like, how's Jimmy Rivera gonna feel? Like, Jimmy's on what, a 20-fight win streak?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, throw a dog a bone, motherfucker. Let me fight. You know what I mean?
But people have been talking about his fight even before TJ had the title fight. He'd been talking about how he's willing to move down and fight him before he actually got a title back. You know, so it's always been a talk, hasn't it? It's always been around. It's not as if they've just thrown it out straight away. This is your next fight. It's always been somewhere along in the pipeline. And as fans, everyone likes a super fight, don't they? You know.
I'd love to hear Demetrius' thoughts on it, because initially, when this fight was first talked about, he said he didn't really want it because first thing, he didn't know if TJ doesn't know if TJ can make the weight, and he wanted TJ to make the weight before that. He already said yes to somebody else. That sounds weird, but he already said yes to fight somebody else. I understand it. But the whole idea of TJ can't make the weight, is that changed now? Does he not really care about that, or does he think he can make the weight now?
I think he could be under pressure from the UFC. To do it, and also
he also has new management, doesn't he? I think
so
he might have new management.
About that dollar. Following a bizarre press conference before UFC 220, Dana White announced that the winner of Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Tony Ferguson would be the lightweight champion, not interim champion. However, when pressed if Conor McGregor, the current UFC lightweight champion, would be stripped, he was non-committal. In a post-presser interview with TSN, White clarified, cleared it up. No confusion whatsoever. White said, so let me see if I am interpreting this correctly with Conor McGregor. Actually, Dane didn't say that. That was Aaron Bronister of TSN. As of today, this moment, he has not been stripped of the title. But if he doesn't commit to defending the title leading up to Ferguson Nurmagomedov, the fights for the undisputed title, and we're just going to move on. White gave a detailed answer by saying yes. So Dana White has said that Conor McGregor is not stripped, but this is for the title. Does Dana White know that Khabib Nurmagomedov and Tony Ferguson are in the same weight class as Conor McGregor?
Yeah, it's so weird. It was, honestly, that was one of the weirdest press conferences I ever watched. The way he was pushed on it, and the way he was just refusing to answer it. I don't know what it was. I'm not sure. We can give our opinions on why he wouldn't say Conor stripped, or why Conor still has the title.
I seen a great thing on Twitter, and I can't remember who said it, so I apologise. It could have been so many people, because I follow so many people on Twitter. But someone says, do you reckon they didn't strip Conor McGregor of his title because he'd have no titles, and the UFC 3 game is coming out in a couple of weeks' time, and it's Conor with 2 belts?
I said that to Helen.
Did you? Yeah. With the Dan, just say it on Twitter.
The UFC, the advert was on one end that you can buy the golden edition of the fight game, and you had McGregor with both his belts. I did think that.
Yeah.
Well, imagine if it was a contract thing.
Could be.
You never know. It was still weird though.
It's ridiculous.
Insane. It's so weird. It makes no sense. And it's Jesus Christ.
But the funny thing for me about it was when the news broke of the fight and it went Conor's getting stripped. I said, nah. And
I know.
Don't get me wrong. I was saying the weird thing about it is the winner. If Conor is coming back,
he's the weird thing.
But if Conor comes back, he's going to fight the winner of this anyway. And it doesn't matter if Conor McGregor. It's going to be a huge fight anyway. But how weird would it be if they did strip Conor, right? And whoever wins, Khabib or Tony, Conor fights the winner, beats the winner,
somebody
still hasn't defended a belt.
Yeah.
Like,
that's messed up, like.
Yeah, it makes...
But isn't it, but the crazy thing is, no matter what scenario you play, we're still talking about it. We're still talking about if the fight's going to happen. Isn't it stripped? Is it, is he, when's he going to fight him? It's constantly, no matter what scenario is given, it's still about him. No matter what, he's still that centre focus, which is crazy. You know?
I think it does kind of show the strength that he has or the power that he has in the promotion. Still, it's just looming. It's just looming. Yeah, they'd be like, he's stripped. We have a title fight here. We're going to promote this. He's just looming over the promotion, and maybe there is something to the UFC game. That's kind of funny, but maybe there is something to the UFC game thing. But yeah, it's just a weird one. Stupid press conference. It was just like, how did Khabib and Tony feel? Like, Tony was sitting there with the UFC title, and his promoter sitting there saying, "Oh yeah, this is going to be for the title," while he wouldn't say the other guy who has a title is stripped. How does it make them feel? They're just sitting there like, okay, what the hell's going on here?
On our side of the world, Tim Barnett looks like he potentially is stripped because Lonsdale now doesn't sponsor Bama anymore.
What's going on
so
there?
There's no Lonsdale Bama lightweight champion.
I did see posters of
RDX lightweight champion, but then the official fight poster just says lightweight bout between Tim Barnett and Reece McKee.
Weird.
Yeah, what you talk about. UFC undefeated SBG Ireland middleweight prospect and two-time, obviously, Fight Talk guest. I think the quickest turnaround two-time guest. Will fucking Fleury will make his debut for Brave CF promotion at Brave 10. The Kingdom Rises in Amman, Jordan on March the 2nd. His opponent will be fellow promotional debutant Tariq Suleiman. Big move for Will. Big Will was in. He was getting jiggy with it, but Big Will was. He was off obviously in EFC The Fighter. He had an EFC fight last month.
He won, yeah.
He won by knockout. But good sign with Brave. Big move. You've obviously Dylan Tuke over there as well, and Franz Malambo. All former guests of.
It seems like they like the SBG guys.
It's not Brave. Listen and watch. Obviously, Fight Talk.
Must be that's what
and that's where they get their fighters.
Yeah. Didn't was that
coincidence?
That was Brave, the Carl interview, wasn't it? The Brave guy, that was great. I'm just excited to see Will getting fights because he just hasn't got fights, and now he has two fights in a relatively small period of time.
And that's what Will said when he was on the show, that he wanted to be active. He really wanted to keep going, especially injury free coming into it. He wants to stay active. It's very hard, to find guys of that size, and you know what I mean. For Will to get fights on a regular basis, so it's a good move.
And it's a good promotion for him to be on. Obviously they've only been around a short period of time. But they've been to Brazil. They've been, they've done Asia. They've done Bahrain as well. So it's a good promotion for him to be on.
And as well, Brave will be coming to Dublin, Ireland. So you'll have no doubt that the likes of Tuke, Malambo, and Fleury, they'll be selling the card, being on the card, and I'm sure one of them will headline. We'll obviously say it, and then the same with the UK. There's a lot of young, untapped professionals, and these organisations are smart.
Yeah, sometimes you just don't get to see them. And the great thing about somebody picking up an Irish fighter, and especially someone like Will with a big personality, is there's always some kind of fan base there. There's always kind of a built-in fan base. Like Irish MMA fans are just going to follow other Irish MMA fighters, no matter who they are. But especially when Will Fleury, who has the personality. Like, you've seen him on the show before.
Same with Tuke.
Same with Tuke. Yeah. Kind of similar, and they're all similar signings in certain ways. Like, personalities, very, very good fighters, and some of the better prospects. So, like, if you look at Brave now, Brave have some of the better Irish MMA prospects signed to their ranks.
Yeah, in a way, you know, Bama have dropped the ball in some ways with letting the fighters that they have go there. It's good experience for them. Quickly as well, KSW, Chris Fields has been confirmed as well to fight in Poland. The Housewife's Choice, the devilishly handsome Chris Fields will be fighting. And as he said, what did he say? Kimura rolls and
Kimura roll. Oh shit, what was it? Can't remember.
Head kicks and Kimura rolls.
Check Twitter.
Something like that. But so a lot of activity of Irish pros as well going along. We'll just go to streaming this up. But this one is not going to be on the clock. A couple of swapsies here, almost like Sanchez and Mkhitaryan. Jimmy Smith and John McCarthy have changed up a little. Jimmy was on the broadcast on Fox FS, whatever it was, alongside Karen Bryant, Rashad, and who else was on it? Ken Flo. And John McCarthy was on the broadcast for the first time for Bellator as well, wearing the classic black suit jacket and unbuttoned black shirt. Classic MMA move. What do we think, Rob, of Big John? We're going to get to you in a little bit where you can coo about John McCarthy, but what do we think about him in his new role?
Good.
Good.
Like, he was very good. He wasn't like, he didn't like blow your mind, but I don't think anyone expected that. And like, what commentator really blows your mind?
Just when you say blow your mind, did you ever see the Tenacious D where he's blow your mind? And it blows up. That's what I was thinking. Sorry.
Cool. Now I know what you're thinking when I'm talking.
Yeah.
He was very, very good. Like, completely competent, and done the post-fight interviews, which are very good. I really liked the post-fight interview with Chael. You know, mostly because of Chael, but still, I thought he handled it really, really well. But yeah, I thought he done a great job. You know, it's a different move for John McCarthy. He has done it before. He's done a couple of commentating gigs here and there. But yeah, very good. I liked it.
What do you think, Dan? Is this something? Obviously, we'll call you Dan. We'll be respectful to John, but John is coming in the later years of his refereeing career, while you're a young pup on your way up. But John McCarthy, what do you think for yourself going forward as well, Dan, with John as much of an inspiration to you, and then moving on to this position? Is that something that you look at as well, along the lines of obviously you're focused on your referee's career, but would there be something as well on the other aspects of the sport that you'd be interested in?
Who knows? You know, I first thought that this sport, I wanted to become a fighter. Then now, obviously, it didn't work out, to be real with myself, and I've taken the path of being being an official. But yeah, I thought he'd done a great job. I think it's a good move for him. Good, you know, at the end of the day, he wants to continue to be involved in the sport. I'm glad he didn't walk away. You know, but I thought, again, like Rob said, I thought he's done a good job. You got to remember, this guy, he's the reason for the rule sets, that their safety aspects. He's the guy who literally wrote this. He's the guy who created the Bible of MMA, really. I don't know if either of you guys read his book, but the guy's just full of knowledge, you know, and that can only help, as you know, whilst commentating, if something happens with a referee or a decision a referee makes. It's I know UFC go to Mark Ratner and he gives explanation, etc. But they got John McCarthy straight there to give the reasoning of why a referee made a certain call, or why that should have been a foul, why he gets up to 5 minutes, etc. So I think it could benefit Bellator. And clearly, like you said, Rob, I think he'd done Affliction before. Remember when Affliction had a show on? I think he commentated on that a little bit, if I'm not wrong. But yeah, I think a good move for him, and fair play to him.
For me, with it, John, is, as you said, Dan, he was there when MMA literally was like, he probably had the pen that was writing the rules. That's how involved Big John is in this sport. He's one of the best referees to ever do it. So to have that fountain of knowledge cage side, I think it's invaluable. And I think it was, as much as losing Jimmy Smith and letting Jimmy Smith go, I think was a huge error on Bellator's behalf. But the signing of Big John into this role was a stroke of genius, and I thought he was excellent. As Jael said, I'll stick around because it's your first day on the job. After he said he done his little bit of poetry, gave the muscles and went to walk off. It wasn't as bad as remember what's his name done the Ben Rothwell done the and then John Anik was like, yeah, so how did it? And he's like, oh shit, this is awkward now. But you handled it very well. And as he said on Twitter himself, thanks for all the kind messages along that lines. And he said, but I look to improve each show, and certainly would be. But Rob, just moving to Jimmy, I have to say I absolutely love Jimmy Smith in the studio. I thought he was excellent, and in a way, and I don't. This isn't. It's not disrespectful, and geez, I hope it's not taken up that way. But I really think he showed up Rashad Evans and Ken Flo in his knowledge.
No, I think he did. Like, there's something different about a guy who is clearly trained and experienced in broadcasting. Like Kenny Florian and Rashad Evans are very, very good, and they're obviously great minds in the game. But I don't think they're as polished as Jimmy Smith, who, remember, he was a fighter as well. So it's not like he's clueless about fighting. But I thought he'd done a brilliant job. I thought he fit in really, really well. And as he said on the Joe Rogan podcast, a commentator or analyst can take away from a thing, but they can also add to it. And I thought he really did add to it.
Yeah, 100%. I look forward to actually seeing him on the broadcast as well, live.
Yeah, big time
in commentary to go down. Dan, next week is a little landmark for us. Next week is episode 100.
Woo!
Big 100.
So
Jesus, how did I stick you?
We're going to have a segment where we just sort of chat about the show and all that type of stuff. You're going to be involved in that as well. It's not going to be a referee's corner. It's just going to be us sort of having a little chat about the show. And
sounds good to me.
A little bit about us. But it's great to hear that velvet tone back on obviously Fight Talk. I missed. We nailed it. It's time sometimes screws us over trying to get it on. And,
I know. But hey, 100 episodes, man.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
That is really good.
Imagine it all just went pear-shaped next week, and that was it.
We couldn't do the last episode.
No OFT, no OFT.
Before we let Dan go, and before we move on to talk to Glen Ellis, we'll talk to him next. A bit of breaking news. Bellator just sent out a press release. Bellator's Heavyweight World Grand Prix continues with the dream matchup between Fedor and Frank Mir at the All-State Arena on April 28th. Obviously, that's the fight that was going to happen, but it's been announced for April 28th.
All right.
Nice. Fedor against Frank Mir. What's your quick
pick? The winner
pick?
gets Chael Sonnen.
Yeah, what's your quick pick?
Did you see Frank Mir in the standoff?
Yeah, I know.
Frank Mir looks like he ate Frank Mir. Did you see Frank Mir in the standoff?
No, I didn't.
He looked like he was 18 months pregnant. He did, with twins. He had two fully grown children.
As a fan, that'd be an interesting fight. Question is, how's Fedor going to turn up as well? And Frank, to be honest. They both travel a lot. I know Frank travels a lot with ACB, with his commentary team, etc. But I'm sure he puts the work in. But it'd be interesting. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. I am picking Mir. I'm never not going to pick Frank Mir. I love Frank Mir. He just, but Frank has done that. You've seen that in between fights. He sort of does get that, There's a few unkind pictures of him on the Wayne scales.
They have like 3 months now. 3 months. But he'll have the kid by then anyway, so it'll be grand.
The baby will be born by then. But he looked big. Frank, if you're listening, as you always are, Frank, no disrespect.
You're welcome on.
Yeah, welcome on. Obviously, Fight Talk anytime. Phone Booths podcast, check it out. But now he's. It was an unflattering picture.
Yeah.
It was like when you turn your phone on and you're checking like Snapchat or something, and you hit it and the camera's on and it's on you, and everyone, no matter who you are, you look like. Unfortunately, that was the picture of Frank Mir.
And that's the picture for the thumbnail. You're doing that.
No, it's not. Don't you dare do that to me. Don't do me like that, Palin.
Lovely.
But my pick would be Mir. What would you? Matt Mitrione just knocked him now.
Yeah, probably.
And if Fedor gets to the ground, Frank Mir gets Fedor to the ground, you'll do a number on him, I think.
Think so?
Yeah. Frank's
I reserve my pick. No, I'll pick Frank.
I reserve my pick. You pick one. Quick. I reserve mine.
Frank Mir. I don't know.
Frank Mir. Who would you go for, Dan? There you now. You and Brian Lacey, good friends with Frank Mir.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of both of the guys, and I like Frank Mir's style. I honestly don't know, because they're both coming from, especially Frank coming from a long layoff, etc. And Fedor the way he lost last time. I honestly don't know. I know who I'd like to see. I would like to see Fedor, because I just think it would make it. Could you imagine Fedor versus Chow?
Yeah, that's what I meant.
And I'd say, come here.
I changed my pick. Fedor.
I'd say Chael is rooting for Fedor.
I'd say so, yeah.
265 of all kinds of Frank Mir on him.
No.
No.
But
hey,
Hey,
let's see.
And I hope that Bellator, for a once-off special occasion, bring in the commentator for Fedor.
Yeah.
Frank Mir is out of shape. He is not fit at all. There's no way he will beat the last emperor. Fedor Emelianenko, the greatest. No! Fedor!
Talking about 100, I'll leave it at this, but talking about 100th episodes next week, that's definitely got to be one of my top 10 moments talking about that commentator on that show. 100%.
Yeah. We could fill up an episode of
him.
him.
We could get him on the show.
Yeah, see if we'll reach out.
What's his name?
We'll reach out. I don't know. Just put in Fedor guy. We'll find him that way. 100% you'll find him that way. But Dan, absolute pleasure. We'll reminisce more next week. Love to all the family. And peace out, my man.
Same to you guys. Take care. Have a good evening.
Cheers man.
Yeah,
let's not waste time. Straight away, Rob. This is, I think, going to be hugely
fascinating. I think
and fascinating.
Yeah.
We're going to get on Glen Ellis. If you don't know who Glen Ellis is, you will have seen him on a video with us about a year and a half ago, maybe a year ago, at BAMA.
Stick it in the comments.
We were backstage. Glen Ellis is an advanced paramedic with Code Blue Medical Services. He's the guy who basically looks out for fighter safety.
Yeah.
Him and his team are doing amazing work on the Irish scene here as well. But Glenn, we want to get him on. Speak a little bit about weight cutting and what goes on in the human body with weight cutting. And I suppose the dangers of it, etc.
Yeah, because of the Uriah Hall, that thing happened really recently and pretty scary, especially all the tweets that came out, like from Paige Van Zandt, who said it was one of the scariest things. We thought it might be a good time to do it.
And we thought, let's not me and Rob just talk about let's get somebody who really knows what they're talking about. So I'm really looking forward to this. So let's get on the phone to Glen Ellis. So welcome back to obviously Fight Talk, and we're now joined by Glen Ellis, who is an advanced paramedic for Code Blue Medical Services. So Glen, thanks a million for coming on to obviously Fight Talk.
No, thank you for having me on again. It's great to see you, and keep up the good work, by the way. It's coming across very, very well. Great work, lads. Great work.
We always like a compliment to start off any interview. It's always a good way to go. Glen, we obviously spoke with you. The video went viral as well. Backstage at BAMA, you were good enough to show us around the medical room and backstage in the 3 Arena on that day. But today we're going to talk a little bit about Irish MMA as well and the safety there and your involvement in that. But something that is at the forefront of MMA around the world, not just here in Ireland, is weight cutting. There's been a lot of issues with weight cutting in and around fights are getting cancelled, fighters getting pulled off card, and even as recent as Uriah Hall is reported of having a mini stroke, essentially. His body started to shut down from weight cutting. So in a way, what are we doing wrong here? Is there a solution to this, or what are the benefits versus the cons and pros, if you like, of weight cutting?
Yeah, I mean, weight cutting is not deemed to be a bad thing. That's to say from the start. It's how you weight cut. If you can set a target within an appropriate time where you're not losing too much weight over that time, then you're doing it right. The issue and where it comes from, especially with Uriah and some other fighters that have died over the years as well, is linked to rapid weight loss. And rapid weight loss due to excessive fluid loss. So you get a guy who needs to make a weight, he puts a sauna suit on him, he goes into the sauna and he just flushes his body out, right? Trying to make that weight because he's under pressure to do it. And some people would be of the belief, I'm okay to do it 24 hours up to the fight because then I can find someone who's going to put an IV cannula in and rehydrate me with 2 or 3 litres straight into the fluid system and I'm good to go. But it's what they lose within that 24 hours beforehand. That's the key. And they're losing salt, they're losing sugar. Both of them key, like sodium, key things for the body to be able to react. Not only the body, but the brain needs to be able to react on fight night. It's not about the muscle. The brain plays a big, big part in this. And if you're dehydrated and you're not appropriately rehydrated, then your ability to follow commands, follow your coach, listen to the referee, defend yourself, those things can be lost. You're not the guy that's in the gym 3 or 4 weeks on a good diet, good weight loss, and not worrying about your weight. You're a different animal then that night. And if you even try and stick 3 litres into you, and it's just going to come out, you're going to pee it out, basically. So it's the effects of the organs are going to have affect the fighter, and that's what the problem is. It's this rapid rehydration after rapid weight loss. They're the key things.
just in and around the solutions in that sense. So you look at, like, I know in California you have to be a certain percentage within the weight cut. ONE FC they basically monitor you all year round, and you have your walk around weight. Like, on the medical side, as I know you're saying the short side, a shortcut in a time frame, like when Paul Redmond was given the UFC offer. Paul had to ship serious amount of weight. But, like, what's the best approach here? Because you got guys, like, you only have to look at, like, the most recent and highest level guys. Daniel Cormier, he looked like a zombie stepping on the scale. So, what is the solution in a sense? Is there the ideal weight cut? What's the ideal preparation for it?
You're looking at, preparing for this, I just took a couple of notes. I mean, this goes back to 1976 now. I mean, the American Athletics College of Sports Medicine basically in 76 looked at this, and then Reed looked at it in 1996 again and made recommendations on this, you know. I mean, you shouldn't be, they say in those recommendations, no athletes are allowed to compete in a weight class that would require weight loss greater than 1.5% of their body mass per week. That's a recommendation made in 74 or 76 and again in 96, you know. And as I said to you, it's a case of there's a lot of pressure put on fighters to make weight now. You know, fighters are struggling to get the few bob in, and think it's getting more expensive to be in this sport with scans and everything else, which have their place as well. But to have a fighter say, you know, I have a big purse, I have to prepare for it. What am I going to do? I'm going to cut my weight really quick to make sure I get it. Otherwise, I could be losing 20% of my purse if I can't make that weight. And that's what it's all. That's what a guy is getting into the ring about. So the pressure's on the fighter to perform as well. They don't pay enough attention to the effects of this rapid weight loss. So, I mean, that's key. You know, 1.5% of your body mass within per week. We're looking. There's nobody looking at urine samples on the day to see exactly how much, because that's how your hydration can be your rehydration can be looked at. You know, it's looking at the colour of the urine and seeing if you are properly hydrated. I think the boxing started to look at it recently as well, and they re-weigh them on the day of the fight, and if they've exceeded 10% of their weight since the weigh-in, well, then they have to go up a weight class. You know, so some people have been recommending that we weigh them in on the day of the fight itself, but I don't know whether that's going to be a good thing or not. Maybe it is going to be a good thing for guys to kind of keep the weight, but it's taking the pressure off the fighter to get that excessive weight loss within one week, 2 or 3 days. That's the hardest thing, and that's what needs to be controlled, in my opinion.
Do you think the likes of the UFC have to look at themselves, like in that Paul Redmond situation where they offered him a fight at featherweight, a weight that he's never fought at, or at least I don't remember him fighting ever at featherweight, with 16 days to go to cut all that weight? Do you think the promoter has an obligation to themselves to say, wait, we shouldn't really be offering fights like this where a guy needs to cut so much weight in such little time?
There's always a certain amount of responsibility back on the promoters. You know, there's that, what's the word I'm looking for? There's that point where the promoter has to look at a fighter and see, is he physically well? Is he healthy well to be able to fight as well and to compete? And am I just putting him in to sell tickets? That's the whole thing about it, you know. From a UFC perspective, they know people want to fight in that card, and they'll know people will do whatever they have to do. But they have to take an ethical approach to the performance of the fighter at the time and see, are we going to take weight? So yeah, I agree with you definitely from the promotion side of it. They do. The issue is the promoter has a fight on, he's got a card he needs to fill, he's got seats he needs to fill, he or she needs to fill. They're going to do whatever they can do to get a good person in that cage to fill those seats. And if they'll say to you, right, Paul, you've got 16 days to get ready for this fight, or even 7 days, are you up for it? The first thing you're going to say is, yes, I am. And you're going to jump in there and do whatever you have to do. The check has to be 24 hours beforehand, and even up to a couple of hours before the fight then, to make sure the fighter's still there. You know, is the fighter still healthy to be able to perform on the night?
What's your opinion on the early weigh-ins versus the late ones? Because I know a lot of fighters have different opinions, where some say it's a good idea because I get more time to rehydrate, but other people say it's not a good idea because I'm going to bed the night before dehydrated. So what's your opinion on the early weigh-ins versus the later?
The earlier weigh-ins, yeah, I mean, it kind of goes back to what I was saying about the rapid weight loss. If I'm given longer enough time to rehydrate, then it's going to push me more so to lose more weight. And that was the WADA recommendation. WADA, the World Association for Doping, didn't want to see IV rehydration therapy brought into the sport, because it kind of pushed rapid weight loss in a base. The fighter was led to believe he's going to be able to get his weight back up when he done IV rehydration. And that was the main reason for it. So to weigh someone in on the day, I think, is the safest way, because you know you have a long period of time to make that weight. You know you're going to have to make that weight on the morning of the fight, otherwise your fight is pulled. Now that's from the medical side of it. The promoter has a bigger issue to look at if that fighter doesn't make it.
Yeah, the internet connection.
I'm blocked out now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we just dropped you a little. You were just saying. Yeah, the fight. You were saying the organisation has trouble with its same day weigh-ins cause.
Exactly. You know, so they're not going to push for that either, you know. But from a fighter safety perspective, is where I have to constantly come from. I would prefer to see a same day weigh-in. I prefer to see the fighter being at the top of his game at the appropriate weight on the morning of his fight, because it's not lending the ability for the fighter to cut too much weight to try and replace it quickly.
One thing you did mention was testing the urine on the day as well. That's something that ONE FC do at the moment. They'll test the gravity of the urine to make sure that it's essentially the fighter is hydrated. Is that something you'd like to see as well?
I would, yeah. And as long as the fighters realise that we're not looking for anything else bar that, we're only looking for the hydration of the fighter itself on the day, and that's an easy colour test, and that can be done really, really quickly during the pre-fight medical, and it can be done very, very quickly. The problem is that it's one thing introducing a standard, introducing a test, but it's what you do if the fighter fails. You know, some people will say that a fighter should be given one opportunity to make weight. They shouldn't have an opportunity to come in, not be in the way, go to the local sauna, wash all the salts, all the sodium out of them, and run the risk then of losing all their sugars, their glycogen, and then having a cardiac arrest basically, or a seizure as a result of that. Like young children have seizures because parts of the brain haven't actually fully developed. It's very, very scary to see. And adults who have infections are the same. Once you start to lose fluid, your temperature goes up, and when your temperature goes up, your brain actually can cause you to go into a seizure, and that's very, very hard. So you have a fighter who's not making weight and has rapid weight loss into the sauna in the suit, goes for his 2 or 3K run, and he's just washing all the sodium out of him. He's a high risk of seizure. Cognitively, he's not ready. He hasn't got the ability to be able to perform on the night. Straightforward, it's going to cause him problems. The other one, from my perspective, from the medical side of it, once you start to flush those fluids out around the brain, then we have a harder surface of the skull the brain is going to hit against when they start to be striked, when the fighter receives a strike. And I don't want that. I don't want any fighter to see any brain damage, and especially from a long-term effect, the likes of CTE, concussion, all those different things. It's trying to protect them as best as we can. Maybe it's too strenuous, or maybe it's wrong of me to say the same day weigh-in will reduce that, but I'm biased. I have to look at the care of the safety of the fighter, and to me that's the safest way from the fighter's perspective to weigh them in the morning.
Is it silly, is it naive, I suppose is the best word to phrase this, to think that, you know, we're all different, so what you can cut weight, I wouldn't have to do. Our bodies are also different. So you look at, for example, if you take Conor McGregor, for example, Conor cuts and he honestly looks like he could be on Moore Street, standing at a pole, just giving an L wobble when he's at featherweight. But he makes the weight every time. And then you look at another example is Darren Till. Darren Till cuts down from north of 205. So are we all just built differently, that some can just do this and some find it harder?
Some people have the ability and the team around them to allow them to cut the weight quickly and then be able to put it back on. I mean, I'm looking daily on Facebook, and a lot of fighters are kind of looking for sponsors, and they're pushing nutritionists, they're pushing these people that are helping them to cut weight. But that's over a long period of time, and that's acceptable. That's appreciative. You know, that they can do that if they're done, if they're proper. Like there's a certain doctor who works with the bodybuilders. She's a female doctor. She's very, very good, but she'll appropriately monitor the fighter throughout their period, or the bodybuilder throughout a period of time, to ensure their vital signs are good. They're producing sufficient muscle, strength, mass over a period of time. So to look at Conor when he went down, and Darren Till as well. I mean, I met Darren when Darren was here in the UFC 2 years ago. When he went to weigh in, I mean, it scared me to a certain extent, because like talking was a problem, you know, just keeping the eyes open was a problem, and I was frightened. To see him the following night, you get into the cage and he annihilated us, and he's doing so well. He's brilliant, lovely, great for it to watch. Yeah. But to see the effects of that weight loss to make that weight was scary. It was really, really scary from weight. So, sorry, to answer your question though, is everyone built the same? Everyone's built the same. Everybody has water inside them. Everybody has muscle inside them. But it's how you cut that weight. It's the people you have around you to help you to cut it and get it back up appropriately, and that's the key to it then as well.
Do you think, it's the Darren Till example you had there, Darren Till, the next day he looked great, but the day before he looked terrible. Do you think the idea of well, he made the weight and he looked okay the next day, so it's fine, is the right approach? Or is it like maybe he should reevaluate because of what he looked like the day before?
The reality of it is that Darren done his medical, and he was pre-fight medical was fine, not a bother. I mean, he was absolutely 100%. Darren could have been in a zone for all I know. He could have been just basically in the zone preparing for it. But from my perspective, looking at him, you know, I worry about the guys. I worry about the fighters. And when a fighter can't communicate enough to me, again, they could be in the zone. And like I said, Darren was 100% fit and healthy to fight. But you know, it's frightening to look at them to see when they see that rapid weight loss, you know. And you can see it in Conor as well. When Conor was weighing in that time, you could see how much weight he lost. It was just, and to see him the following night straight back up again.
He looks like
what is that? Person. Is that muscle or is that water? You know, is that 3 or 4 liters of water gone into? Like, what exactly is? We're not going to build that much muscle in that period of time. So,
we started talking about the short term, but what long term dangers are there with this, like multiple high cuts like that? Is there a long-term damage that you could be doing to your body?
Yeah, I mean, the kidneys are affected, you know. I mean, you start to get rhabdo, you start to get build-up of toxins. The toxins aren't being washed out of systems, and they're affecting the kidneys. They're killing off muscles, killing off the kidney, parts of the kidney. Not killing them off, but it's not healthy for the kidneys to be dry. It's not. I mean, one of the big things from a medical perspective we always look at in a pre-hospital care is that the first question we ask people, are you still peeing?
Yeah.
Because once the kidneys are affected, we're in a bad place. Because if you're not able to wash those toxins out of you, then those toxins are staying inside and they're affecting the liver. There's nothing to wash them by the liver. They're affecting the kidneys. They're affecting the heart. They're affecting the muscle. So you need to have that constant rehydration to wash all those toxins out. And, you know, if you're sitting there and you're not washing them out, then there is going to be long-term effects on it. And later on in life, it comes back to bite you. The most obvious one then is the brain. If the fluid is not floating around the brain and we have an issue and the brain is not protected by the fluid, we're in trouble. And then that's going to lead to long term. We could be looking at CTE. I've done an interview for the news talk. I won't say who I was talking to because he's not there anymore. But he asked me about CTE and he just said to me, is there any, there's no machine basically there that can identify CTE. The only way we'll know you have CTE is when you're dead. And we have to look at your post-mortem. So from our perspective, we have to do everything we can to prevent you getting CTE. And that's the only thing we can look at. So here we are again talking about weight loss, talking about fluid inside the brain. It's a preventative measure to stop a fighter getting CTE basically in the future.
I'm not sure if you agree with this or not, but looking at, say, the promoter and then looking at the commission, obviously the commission are the ones that would run the weigh-ins and stuff like that. But do you think that because the likes of the UFC could bring in such robust anti-doping policies, that they could bring in some kind of robust weight-cutting policies?
They could. I mean, everything we look at is based on evidence. Yeah. Everything in medicine is based on evidence. There is not huge evidence out there to suggest rapid weight loss is killing fighters. There is not huge evidence out there to say that rapid weight loss is actually causing major problems, long-term effects, because we're not looking at it. One study has been underway, I think, in Liverpool at the moment, where they're looking at fluid loss and to see how it's affecting the fighter as well. And that will produce evidence that will either go with or go against it. Now, we've been looking at weight loss since 1976. Like, it's going back that far. And the effects of it. And again, in researching this piece tonight, a 5-year-old wrestler in America, his father got him to cut 10% and he almost died. Wow. You know, 5 years of age. You know, it was just, it's ridiculous. So everything is based on research. Everything is based on good process, good quality. And if UFC are one of the top around, they are the top around to look at research. But not only UFC. I mean, BAMA, for pure example, last year, Jude from BAMA was doing weights of fighters as they were in their post-fight medical. And he wanted to look at the performance of the fighter to see was it actually being affected by weight loss. So how much fluid they're taking on, and to see if the weight was down, was it affecting their performance? And the evidence was no, it wasn't affecting the performance. So, and that was only a small study. And you look at a study with the number of people involved in it. So we do need more evidence. We do need more research to see is rapid weight loss killing people. But what we do know, if you lose too much salt, you will have a seizure. If you wreck or affect the balance of your electrolytes, you run the risk of a cardiac arrest. You need sodium, you need potassium, you need calcium in your body for your heart to function correctly. That's what gives the electrical activity in the heart. If you play around with the atoms and play around the electrolytes, you are going to have a cardiac arrest. It's as simple as that. And that's a given. So to be able to maintain the fluids that kind of balance that hemostasis, that natural balance in the body, we know that's a fact.
What's your opinion on Uriah Hall? Uriah Hall obviously had a really bad weight cut and apparently he almost went into cardiac arrest. And he came out and said that he wants to.
He lost 40 pounds. 40 pounds he lost in the weeks leading up to it, which is a huge weight loss. And he's a big guy as well.
Yeah, but it's insane because he came out after that with a statement saying, you know, I'm okay now, I'm going to recover and I want to fight Vitor Belfort again. Most likely at the same weight. What's going to change the fighters' mindsets of, okay, that was scary, I want to move up in weight? Is it a lot of fighters performing really well at higher weight classes, or is it going to be, you know, some kind of tragedy?
That's going to change the minds of these fighters.
Yeah.
We've had tragedies. Yeah. You know, fighters will still fight. Fighters will have the opinion, you know, I feel great, I feel fine, my tests, my scans are fine, my bloods are fine, my body's fine, my body's not telling me I'm not. They're going to make the decision themselves. They're grown adults. It takes guidelines to protect the fighters at the time of the fight. That's what it takes, you know. Nobody should be told you can't fight. I'm a firm believer no one should be told you can't fight. But what you should be informed is the risks you take when you fight. And if there's something there that's saying, look, you need to stop now because in the long-term effects of this, it's not going to affect you now, it's not going to affect you next year, but in 10 years' time, when your family has to look after you because you're either in a wheelchair or you've got some degenerative disease and you can't literally walk from the chair, you can't hold your grandchildren. It's those protective measures we're looking at. And we can only, and going back to the same thing I said, we can only provide the evidence of the fighters that have gone before us. MMA is a fairly new sport when we look at it, you know. I mean, when did we kick off? 1996, 1994 when we got the first UFC 91?
It was the UFC's 25-year anniversary this year.
Yeah. You know, and they nearly lost it. They nearly went under at the time as well. So, and the rules are completely different then to what they are now. So there's not much evidence, but what we can look is our nearest neighbours, like the boxing, and see where they're going. Look at the big prize fighters of those boxers and where they are now. Some of them are with us, some of them are not with us anymore, and some of them are walking around like they're not even walking, you know, from those heavy hitting. So it comes a time where you have to realise as a fighter whether I've done enough, achieved enough, and maybe I need to pull back on direct strikes and maybe go back to some jiu-jitsu or something else I enjoy doing, you know, instead of putting myself, my family at risk and everything else that goes before me. Those big purses are not as common in MMA as they are in the boxing. So do we need to put our bodies under the risk to affect our children, our grandchildren, our family, our wives, our boyfriends, or whoever we have, you know? So I think that's the thing. But evidence research is a big thing I have to look at now from the Irish side of it. And we are partaking in research now for MMA fighters in Ireland. And we hope to launch something in the next couple of months, which will benefit the fighters as well. So let's look and see. You guys represent the sport. You guys go on the airwaves, you go on the national media, the tabloids, and you are the guys telling the people that we all meet every day why MMA is a good thing to do. You know, it's not barbaric. You know, the amount of people that say, oh, it's horrible, it's disgusting, because they don't know. And until we produce the evidence to show people that we're doing it right, we're doing it professionally, we're doing it safely, well, then that's called evidence, and that's what we all need to start looking at.
How is you find out the introduction of the new services that have to be provided, the likes of the scans? How is the state of Irish MMA, Glenn, in your opinion? Where are we still the front runners in safety?
I think we are. I mean, we cause problems. I'm kind of run with the hounds and hunt with the foxes sometimes. Run hunt with the hounds or whatever, run with the fox sometimes. I think we are very safe. I really, really do. From my perspective, the proof of it is, touch wood, I didn't have to tube anybody last year who got out of an MMA ring. I didn't stand up at any stage and look at our referees and say, why isn't he stopping this? You know, why are we continuing here? I didn't get a fighter backstage that I was very, very concerned about, and I'm delighted about that. And I think the standard of refereeing plays a key part to that. You know, I mean, some of our referees that come to Ireland to manage the big cards are great, and some of our national referees, to see IMAF come over and do referee courses here. Mark Goddard was over in my own building last year, and he came over, he ran a course with referees. It was great to see the guys and the interest and the safety of it. So I think we are still doing well. Have we played ways to go? Yes, we do. You know, I want to see in the next 12 to 18 months concussion protocols, return to fighting protocols come in for our fighters. I want to see in the clubs, the local levels, seeing posters on the walls, training for, like Joe Clifford does amazing work when it comes to training and education amongst the cut men and even the gyms, to be able to educate people on how to look after our fighters correctly. The more of that type of stuff, the better. People will say we're a bit drastic in our approach. We took a major step forward with the scans, the introduction of the scans and pushing them forward when nobody else was doing them. But we were faced, when I say we, the sport, the organisation, IMA, we're faced with the possibility of having the sport banned on the basis of one fight. Yeah. No, nothing else. And the improvement has come on. You know, the respect for the medics, the respect for the process fighters are going through is there now. And I know it's costly. I absolutely understand that it is. And we're trying to find ways to make it more cost effective for fighters to get into the sport. But I still believe we're doing a good job. Can we do better? Yes, we can, and we'll continue to strive to be the best, you know. The problem with being like this, though, the problem being like this is that, I mean, one thing was when the scans came out first, I was told nobody will want to fight in Ireland because of what you're doing. You know, we've had KSW, we've had Bama continuously back, we've had Cage Warriors come back, we've got Bushido coming now in April.
Bellator, yeah.
Bellator, the joint, which was great. And I'd love to see UFC coming back. Yeah. You know, and I think they will come back. You know, as long as we continue to produce good fighters. Yeah, well, I think we have a few good ones around at the moment that can hopefully go on. We shouldn't be just Connor's great. Connor's achieved some great things, but like Ashton Daly, you know, some of the other younger fighters that are coming through as well. We were at CRC 6 last night as well, and some pretty good fighters, you know, coming out of Dino Wade's gym and that type of stuff. So we need to see more of that stuff, and then especially from the international side of it, I'm trying to get more involved with the IMAF championships and the medical side of looking after that. I try not to get dragged into debates on social media, and myself and Paul Cowes are getting into a bit of a debate recently about bringing the World Championships to Ireland. It's my ambition to bring the IMAF World Championships or the European Championships to Ireland. I have a lot to do, and I'll continue to do it, but I believe Ireland can host IMAF's European Championships or the World Championships here, and I think I have the backing and the sponsors to be able to do that. So I think it's from a group perspective, we all need to look at that and look at our amateurs and put a bit of time into our amateurs, because from the whole process of the Sports Council side of it, we do need direct funding. We need funding into the amateur clubs. It's a 3-year process. It takes a lot of time, a lot of personal time for people to be involved, to do committees and to do meetings and all that type of stuff, the politics of it. The more guys we get involved, the more clubs we start bringing on, I think the better chance we have.
Excellent. I do agree. That'd be amazing for that to come here.
That'd be brilliant,
Glenn, I've really enjoyed this. You really, like, you're bringing, me and Rob could sit here and talk about weight cutting, and we don't know half the words you just said. So it was excellent. It was interesting. I was quiet. Very rarely you get me quiet, but it was just really what you're saying is very
congratulations
interesting.
on the baby, by the way. I meant to say it at the start. Well done, buddy.
Thanks very much.
You can lose the PlayStation now.
4-tile man here. But no, honestly, keep up the incredible work, keeping the fighters safe. I didn't see it last night. I was at CRC. I didn't see it though. But thanks a million for taking the time to come on to us again. And that was brilliant. I really appreciate you coming on.
Anytime at all. Listen, it's great to hear from you, lads. Keep in touch.
Cheers. Take care.
Do it again.
Thanks, man.
Do it again.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
There we go. Glen Ellis, Code Blue Services, looking after the fighters, and that was incredibly in depth. And like I said, we could have said something about it, but it wouldn't have carried half of what would have carried half the weight. Brilliant. But I wouldn't have carried, you know what I mean? Glenn, absolutely, really appreciate that. Excellent.
Yeah, brilliant stuff.
So welcome back to obviously Fight Talk, and if you are watching on YouTube, you can see, and if you're listening, sure, I'm going to tell you, we're joined by, we're not saying he's the best, we're just saying there's nobody better. Brendan Dorman back in OFT.
I'd say you could repeat that over and over again, but you have.
Yeah. This may not be the first take.
Take 7.
Serious fights went down this weekend. We have world records beaten. We have world records.
Oh, you messed it up.
Messed it up. See,
we've done this take before and it worked so beautifully.
This is deja vu matrix shit right now.
Records were broken. Canadians became world champions. Hype trains were derailed.
Good one.
And we were up till nearly 7 a.m. here in Ireland.
Yeah.
Brendan, let's start at UFC 220, and I want to start where history was made. Stipe Miocic has become the most decorated UFC heavyweight title holder, defending it 3 times, and in the process derailing the hype train Francis Ngannou.
Yeah, I don't think there's much of an argument at this point, right?
Oh yeah, he has to be. He's the most decorated.
Yeah, I mean, no heavyweight. What was the record before? 3?
Yeah, so two. So 3 is the record. Yeah,
3 is the record. 3 defenses.
3 title defense. It just goes to show you we talked about this. God, 5 months ago, I was saying like why lighter weights versus heavyweights, like the knockout ratio is different because your bones grow exponentially, but your brain actually doesn't.
Yeah,
you know. So to shut someone's lights off, the bigger you get, the more power you have, the more that happens. I was surprised by a lot in that fight, a lot, honestly.
Yeah.
What surprised you the most was it like, because I gotta be honest, like, and I said this, but leading up to this fight, I said, right, Francis Ngannou was fresh in everyone's mind with the Pez machine knockout of Alistair Overeem. Yeah. It was fresh. It was at the front of your brain. And Stipe was a little bit forgotten.
He hasn't fought in a while.
Yeah, you haven't seen him. You had the old contract thing. And there was a lot of... The UFC really did seem to be pushing Ngannou more. And that seemed to... Like, Stipe is just a class, nice guy. But it really seemed to get under his skin. And I think he really showed that when Dana tried to put the belt around him. We'll speak about that in a little bit. Yeah, but also, he felt disrespected. And I think that lit a fire underneath Stipe as well. But what a dominant... Like, to do what he done to Francis Ngannou... Like... Ngannou obviously gassed very early, coming near the end of the first round. He didn't look a fighter at all. He was still holding power, but the shots were coming a lot slower, and they were telegraphing them. But I want to talk, Brendan, because I'm sure you admired it more so probably than me. Let's talk about Stipe Miocic's head movement in the first round, where he was standing in front of Ngannou at times. He was never a stationary target, but his head movement dodging the shots was absolutely... The slips were fantastic.
What I thought though was that let me go chronologically a little bit. I had seen a lot of Ngannou kind of like just behind the scenes stuff he was doing and working on. Of course, I didn't see him run a marathon, so I had no idea about his cardio.
Yeah.
You can't have insight into that really anyway, right?
Yeah.
And the thing we had discussed was whether or not wrestling would come into play, etc. Are you guys hearing that? Feedback?
Yeah. No feedback.
Okay. So I also said, I mean, Stipe fought in Golden Gloves. He knows how to move his head. So it shouldn't be a surprise. What was a huge surprise to me was in the first round, Ngannou went in there like Stipe slapped his girlfriend in the face.
Yeah.
Like he was fighting angry.
Yeah.
Which at that level is crazy. I mean, on the one hand, I can go, well, I get it. I can get why that guy's angry, right? He's been through a lot of shit. And on the other hand, I'm going, but you're at the highest level now.
Yeah.
You who gets away with that? I mean, Khabib kind of comes like with ferocity. I don't think he's angry. Honestly, he's kind of a jokester. You know, like Aldo came out angry against Conor and got flipped. And he came out like, did you notice he was leaving his feet on hooks in the first round?
Yeah.
Like not staying grounded, like you don't really have power unless you're Roy Jones. Well, if you leap in the air and throw a hook, and even that, it's like if you watch in slow motion, even like when Thug Rose knocked out JJ, that's like a sliding hook. You're not like leaping up. You're sliding. You're kind of leaping into, right? He was just putting way too much heat on his punches. And you could just see he couldn't hold his hands up after the, I think, second round. Yeah. His hands were already done. The lactic acid had built up. Like the whole reason you hit a speed bag in the first place. I mean, there was just a lot. Like I don't know. He lost his striking sensibility. Like I always talk about waiting for the knockout to kind of come, and not forcing the issue. Of course, he still had power in the fourth round. That's the old adage of the last thing you know is power. So with George Foreman when I was a kid. Little kid, you know? So, yeah, he still had power, but Stipe was just wearing on him. That kind of quarter Nelson thing he was doing in the cage, Jesus Christ. That's Dominic had great insight to say, like, this is worse than him punching him. Because it's demoralizing, you know? And then afterwards, for Ngannou to say that he underestimated Stipe, it's like, I think you underestimated MMA. Not Stipe. I think you underestimated like your cardio, your skill set, or overestimated your skill set. You knew Stipe did things Stipe does. I mean, did he look a little better? Was his head movement more crisp? Yeah. it wasn't like this significant new guy. It wasn't Dillashaw Barao 1, where you went like, whoa, this guy's changed drastically. It wasn't like that. It was just like, oh, that maybe this guy isn't quite what I thought. Okay. And then it was 5 rounds of that.
Yeah.
You know, I was really surprised with how reckless he was striking. You saw his fight with Overeem, like even when Overeem did that blitz overhand, he was like calm as a cucumber, just kind of slips. You have to be calm, or you're done. You're done. And once you're tired, it's like there's a saying like fatigue can make cowards out of brave men or something like that. Yeah. It's true, and I think that's what we saw. I mean, there's 100 technical examples. You giving a good one in his evasion, because that's the thing is when you swing and miss entirely, it actually like does fatigue you more than if you're hitting a target, you know. But he was trying to like do what he did to Alistair in the first 20 seconds. Just
think he fell in love too much with his power?
That's not a smart approach, man.
Do you think he fell in love too much with his power and just was like you said, he was trying to force it too much? You gotta let it come. But like for me, it was a reckless. It almost looked like the opening round to me almost looked like it was the last round and he just lost every round and he's like, I need a finish here. That's the way he came out bull rushing. But
one thing I noticed, and I don't know if you agree with me, one thing I thought from Ngannou's performance was that he's really good at doing the first thing. He's really good at when somebody goes for a takedown, getting on the underhook. He's really good at landing some good shots. He's really good at when he gets taken down while he's fresh, get back up to his feet straight away. It's when that fails, that's when the whole game fails. And that's probably why a lot of people, and probably including us before in the preview show, why we were kind of maybe misguided of his skills, because when he's fresh in the first round and when he's on point, he's good at doing the first thing, really good at doing the first thing. And even Stipe was getting landed on a couple of times, but it's when he got tired or when Stipe got him to the floor and he couldn't explode back to his feet, that's when it started getting really bad for him.
Do you guys remember when, because Stipe was hurt in the first round, absolutely
he got clipped.
He got caught just as we kind of thought, and I figured after all this time now, working with the right people, Ngannou would know, if you hurt that guy, like, be cerebral, right? Like, don't just go in and Rob Font, I don't know if we'll get to him. Obviously, I had vested interest in that fight, but watch him with Almeida, how he cautiously picked him apart. That's and jabbed his way in. I mean, he did a lot right that we could talk about, but right now we're not. So you can't storm in and bull rush like that. And it's not like you got caught coming in. It's just his approach sucked. It's like he's hurt, but he's good. It takes a minute for those to clear. You don't have to, within 4 seconds, hit him again. And it's just amazing to me that with all of this technology at his disposal and everything else, he didn't know better. Almost, or instincts kicked in, and whatever he was taught went out the window, which I saw at another point in the night. But we'll get there.
Do you think as well that you have to look at him and say, okay, he's been training, he's been in MMA for 4 years? Like, I look at his performance, and sometimes, like on the surface, it kind of looks like the Cain Velasquez Junior Dos Santos fight where Cain come in and just completely dominated him. But I think with Ngannou, at least what he has is he's still young in the game. He still can grow if he does the right things.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. He's, how old is he? 32 or something?
Yeah, but in his MMA,
he's 31, but he's young in MMA.
He's not young in MMA, whereas like Junior Dos Santos,
especially for heavyweight.
Exactly, like Junior Dos Santos at the time of that Cain fight was probably the finished article of what he was going to be, whereas Ngannou can get a lot better. Oh
yeah, he's still got a ceiling. It's just, I think he needs to, I mean, Dewey's great. I just think you got to get a, Matt Hume's pushing or for us, but I'm just on this new thought train now that you need someone to put everything together. Someone that understands everything. It's just been, after watching all of that and knowing who most of them train under and watching the success of whom, like Stipe's got people that he trusts, and the whole belt thing was pretty case in point, no?
Yeah.
He's like, that's my dude. I love him. Yeah. When they asked him about it, he was still fiery at the presser. Yeah, and Stipe's a nice dude. Yeah. Like, he's a gentle kind of giant of a guy. He's like, I can't wait to get home and get my new snowblower going or some shit, right? But he has a camp of very structured coaches, and they're all assigned to him. You understand?
Yeah.
And then afterwards, I think they all kind of get together and huddle and go, let's do X, Y, and Z, because he clearly had a plan and it worked well. He executed a plan against an opponent. At this level, it'd be like an NFL head coach not scouting the other team at this point. You can't, at the UFC championship level, not have someone to put things together, for lack of a better way to put it.
But when you look,
and I don't know, I don't know if that guy that's from France, I don't even know his name. The smaller guy with the bald head there
takes a beating on the pads.
What the head coach is? I don't think that guy knows shit about grappling. Clearly, there were some positions where Ngannou looked lost, like on the ground, lost.
Yeah, he was like a beetle on his back.
What was your opinion on the whole towel situation? Did you see that? There was a lot of people complaining that he wasn't given ice. He was sitting on the thing, and you're putting towels around him.
Towels, so what do you think about that? Actually, that's a great point, Rob.
That was a weird one.
During the rounds, Dewey Cooper was coming in, and he was wrapping towels around the shoulders rather than putting ice packs on him.
Well, why?
It was they were saying it was like they were trying to warm him up. He was putting 3 towels and wrapping them around the top rather than ice packs.
I didn't even notice.
Yeah.
I know that there's warm compress, there's cold decompress, there's different approaches to like healing muscle, right?
Yeah.
It's the reason you wear rash guards that are like heated, but there's also a reason that you take cryogenic therapy. I don't know. I'd have to talk to Dwayne.
Yeah.
I don't know much about that.
Stipe, though, I could really understand the reason why Stipe was pissed off. Stipe was coming into this fight to create history, and majority of the promotion was pushed behind Ngannou. But for Stipe Miocic, you got to look at it here and think an incredible performance. He's just like the guys he's beaten here. Realistically, like who's next for Stipe Miocic? It's Cain Velasquez, but Cain's going to need a warm up fight.
Yeah,
surely.
he can't get in there with the champ straight away. It's a weird one. I don't know. They'll probably do it for Doom again.
We got robbed of that fight.
Yeah. They'll probably do it for Doom again.
Yeah, probably.
I don't get up for that at all. No, I think that's why this was exciting. That was part of it.
Yeah, they're talking about DC as well.
It's kind of the 205 thing, you want new blood.
Yeah. But Ngannou, I think this is almost like we always thought. We always say, Joanna, she's not, she's the best. No one will ever beat her. DJ, no one will ever beat her. And in a way, we were all a little guilty of Francis Ngannou was the future. And now all of a sudden, you're looking and going, wow, there's actually so many holes in the game.
Yeah, it's what
here.
we said is if Ngannou loses, we're going to learn something about him, and we're not something that we didn't really know, or at least we didn't suspect.
It wasn't delusional.
Yeah. No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
It's just like
they could
thinking
fight
Joanna would win wasn't delusional.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's a fight.
Yeah.
You got to remember that.
That is a good point. They could go in there again, and I'm not going to put every single bit of my money on Stipe Miocic to win, because you could see in the first round.
He got hurt in the first round.
You see a few adjustments.
If he connected one more time, right?
Yeah.
That guy has that kind of power, clearly.
Yeah.
If he caught him one more time, that's it. It's over.
Yeah.
No one has a chin that can withstand that.
Yeah.
I mean, he did, but he was weathering a storm for one round. But after that, it was a clinic. It was a
absolutely. Skill was out for Francis.
Ngannou has a good chin too as well. So
Ngannou does, And in fairness, credit to Ngannou, he showed hard to stay in there. Yeah, a lot of heart. Let's have a look at the co-main, and again, you could say experience won the day here. Daniel Cormier, for me, I thought, I gave my reasons last week why I thought it could happen, but I also thought this could happen.
Yeah.
And I got to say, Daniel Cormier looked fantastic. I was almost crying watching his post-press conference. DC looked absolutely phenomenal here. Volkan Oezdemir, a lot of people spoke about, we haven't seen much of him because his cage time was pretty short. His ascent to this title shot was quick. I am now officially going to open the sack. I'm going to let the cat out of the bag. Brendan, you had an investment in this fight. Do you want to let our listeners know?
All right. So I've been shelving this forever and being kind of cryptic about it, but I've been friends with a lot of people throughout the years and helped people out with camps and stuff, but I really invested a ton in this camp for Volkan. And we talked once a week pretty much. I did a ridiculous amount of scouting on Cormier. We had a really good working relationship considering the distance. And then towards the end, something kind of changed, and that fight was hard to watch, knowing how much work I had put into a game plan that was completely abandoned, for better or for worse. I get it on one hand. I wasn't there. You know what I mean? I didn't get a chance to go to Florida because we didn't make plans to do it. I told you guys when I heard, or when he contacted me. You know, it was right about at that kind of 5-6 weeks out thing. And, you know, I wasn't there. So I wasn't in his camp. I understand being alienated a tad because of that. But I know what I see. And I saw it again. And there was one specific thing, and I'm not going to give this away because DC's next opponent might want the 100 hours I have of him scouted. So I'm not going to say what I saw and didn't see. But I saw a lot. I saw a lot of opportunity that was abandoned. And again, and this has happened with amateur fighters of mine that I was coaching, you never know what someone's going to do just because you coach them to do it, if that makes sense. You can get it. The guy gets in there, and he might get a look that kind of was funky to him. The problem is when if say I were to be in Florida the whole time, like I would have emulated the scenario over and over and over. And I know watching films is not the most fun for some fighters, but it's so fucking important to scout. And I felt like he started off well. He came out in the first round like piston pumping his jab, and I was like, here we fucking go. My man, sticking to the plan. And then afterwards, there were just some, without getting too specific about what was wrong and what was right, I was just like, I wish I was there. I wish I could do something. I felt powerless. Volkan's a great dude. He'll be back. He's very smart and he's very talented. Very good, I think DC is a master. I really do.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if your only blemish is to a juiced-up John Jones ever,
yeah,
right? I mean, we're talking about it, one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
So losing to him that's not it. I'm not frustrated with that. And I think if not for DC, Volkan would be right in the running because I think everyone else at 205 sleeps. But DC's got that chin of fucking granite, man. And it took a shin to the head, and that didn't even knock him out. That just kind of got him started. And then a savage assault on the ground to finish him. So a punch or two, and that was kind of part of the pre-fight strategy was to not, like this first round talk is nice. That's fine. You can talk about it. But I hope that's not your plan. It looked like it was. Like you can't, it's just not good planning. Not for a guy with a granite chin. It's just not. Especially a wrestler, you know.
DC as well. The post-fight said when they were in the fight, they were exchanging, and when he got it to the ground, he got Volkan's back so easy and sunk. He basically had to choke in. If there was 5 to 10 seconds left in the round,
first round,
it wouldn't have got out of the first round.
Immediately when it hit the floor, Volkan turned straight away to his back.
I couldn't believe. I don't even want to get into it.
Yeah. I
couldn't believe when he turned his back.
Yeah, I couldn't. Like that's DC's move.
Yeah,
you're giving DC your back. That's what he does.
Okay.
Yeah. Now we still hear you, Bram.
We still hear you. You should come back. I say you'll come back.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. You can't see my handsome face.
Yeah, exactly, we've lost your beauty.
I might disconnect and come back, but I'm not even going to edit. I'm just going to put a little graphic over while we continue to talk. You can fill some airtime, Noli.
Oh Jesus, you're making me feel good. But like what with me watching Volkan, again, it was the unknown is what was going to be answered. And you tweeted something similar, Rob, and I said something as well. Hey, Brian, you're back.
Yeah, sorry, guys.
What I felt in the fight as well, it's something we've said. It's almost like Mario. You can't start as little Mario and finish the game. You have to go through the levels.
Yeah,
and in a way, you didn't know where I was going with that, Rob. Did you?
No, I didn't.
But in a way, Daniel Cormier, he's gone
Mario
through. He's gone through. He's gone through all the end of level bosses, and he's top of the game now, DC. And he showed that when he got Volkan to the ground, he realised, and he said it himself, the advantage he had. He said, "Why am I messing on the feet here? I'm superior on the ground. Let's take it back there." And he got the finish, crucifix and just landing shots at will. Volkan has plenty of time, and even DC has said this. You know, he's a great guy. He's only young. He's got plenty of time ahead of him. What's next? What do we want to see from Volkan Oezdemir? What should he do moving forward? What's next for DC as well?
I'll tell him privately, but what I'll say publicly, what I think he should do is, for one, I didn't like from the jump when I asked him when we first started talking, are you working with Neil Melanson? I was really hoping he was. Because a guy like that is a catch wrestler. and a submission artist. It's submission grappling. A wrestling coach is positional, right?
Yeah.
They're going to show you takedown defense. If your idea was to go in there and take DC down, I mean, that's just insanity, right? I don't think that happened, and I don't think that was the plan. But it was to learn takedown defense. Why not learn takedown defense with offense in it, right? Melanson's like a guy that teaches you how to attack. Rumble broke, not because he didn't know what to do on the ground, he just broke. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now, with Volkan, he got caught with an overhand left, but yeah, it's like the build up to that. I don't know. I don't know. I wasn't in his head, and I haven't talked to him since. I'm kind of respecting his space. It's I think you get a very good understanding of submissions, because look, here's a quiz for you guys. Who at 205 is a submission artist?
Submission artist. 205.
Wow.
Like,
Jesus, yeah, when you think
they don't
about
have to be Damian Maia, just a submission artist.
Yeah. Who's he winning by submission?
Right?
Yeah, there's
OSP,
not many, yeah.
Von Flutchokes.
Yeah, Von Flutchokes. OSP.
Yeah. Which
John
is a
Jones
really good joke if you know it. But
submissions.
Who?
there
John
aren't
Jones,
many, is my point.
Yes.
There aren't many.
Yeah.
So if you already have this dynamite kickboxing power, right? It's like it's like what everyone used to, like Boss used to say this about Brock Lesnar. You already have spectacular grappling. Go to Holland, learn to kickbox for 6 months.
Yeah.
I would think Volkan, you don't have to go to Holland, right? You could learn grappling here, right? He's in Coconut Creek, he's in Miami.
Yeah.
It's right there. There's plenty of black belts. And I love Neil Melanson. I really wish he was involved, because I know with Neil, I could have like called him and been like, all right, dude. So when he shoots on a single, what I was thinking, blah, 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 without getting too technical once again, because DC he has patterns. Everyone has patterns.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I'm going to coach you to win from afar. It just means that I can tell you what the patterns are. Whether or not you can
The one thing,
come through with it is another thing.
The one thing DC kept doing, actually, was what got him knocked out against John Jones.
Yeah, leaning right, like I said. Yeah, there's like I have like an hour and a half of footage explaining when he does that and why. Yeah. It's ridiculous, man. I watched so much film on DC.
Yeah, can we get the footage?
I want to see this footage.
And we'll sell it on the black web.
Yeah.
You got a terabyte of data that I have saved? Yeah, I'll send it to you.
I'll fight DC.
It's all my folders.
Looking down the card, time is of the essence here, but let's briefly look down. Great win for Calvin Gator.
Calvin Cater, Cater. Very impressive.
Look great.
Yeah, very good.
Game.
Yeah.
Game fighter. That was interesting, because it was kind of like one person trying to play a little psych warfare up until, and then the psychology changed a couple times, like throughout the fight. It's an interesting little case study in mindset of fighters.
Let's talk about your boy, though. Very, very, very impressive performance, Rob Font over Thomas Almeida.
What did he do right?
What did he do right?
He knocked.
That I always call for. Lately, I find myself calling for everyone to do this more. Yeah.
Jab?
What did he do right prior to the knockout, obviously?
Jab, was it?
Yes, sir. Winner. Double jab. Double jab, feint jab, uppercut. Jab, it's safe.
Yeah.
All striking arts are predicated off the jab. All of them. Unless, again, I've brought up Roy Jones 348 times. He's the one guy I think I've seen at the highest level. Even Tyson doesn't get a lot of credit for a jab, but he had a great pop jab where he would, from here, up jab, bang. But it was still a jab, right? He had a jab. And Roy had a great jab. He just didn't always use it. I want to see more people using a jab. Jesus. Level change it. He was double jabbing. He was angling incredibly. He looked great on his feet, cutting angles. And that's where Almeida isn't. And I was telling you guys that because that goes back to the Cody fight. He hasn't changed that much as far as his angular sensibility. He's got that chin that's always out there, way out, and a thin little neck. I'm like, oh, boy. Target. Rob looked amazing. So he was using the jab while he caught him with beautiful. I think he feinted the jab into that 6 when his back was. He had his hips kind of perpendicular to the cage, right? and Rob was pressing, and he hit him with an uppercut, hurt him once. But when he took him in a semi-clinch and wrapped around his head for that head kick, I was like, "Ooh, that is some Mighty Mouse shit right there." That was wonderful, because those are great blind strikes. The head kick from the clinch, it's hard to do.
What about Thomas Almeida?
He looked fucking awesome.
Yeah, what about Thomas Almeida? He's a guy who came into the UFC with a big reputation. He had a good run in the UFC at the start, and now what's that, two? That's 2 knockouts, 2 pretty brutal knockouts, and taking a lot of damage in most of his fights in the UFC so far.
He always gets hit. It's almost like it takes him rounds to get going.
Yeah, which is poor for a guy who leaves his chin out there.
Yeah.
If in Brazil I thought there was boxing gyms with the frequency with which there are here, I'd say go to one for a month. This is like going to be my theme going forward for a while now. It's like, if you don't correct the hole, the shit is on you.
Yeah.
At that level, as amateur guys paying $300 an hour to go train, privately with X instructor in jiu-jitsu. It's like, you guys are making $500,000 a year. It's your profession. You're getting paid like a surgeon. Like, you can't find time to learn some sambo. Learn everything. Danaher told, when I used to go to Hensel's way more than I haven't been there in years, but Danaher used to say, approach your grappling as if it's its own mixed martial art, right?
Nice.
Learn judo, learn sambo, learn no-gi, learn gi, learn Greco, learn freestyle, learn every form of grappling that you think is useful, and come up with you. It's like the guitar thing. In order to become a good guitarist, you can't just listen to Hendrix. You can't. You're just going to sound like fucking Hendrix. That's been done. No one cares. They care about him, not you, So you got to you got to be diverse in your skill set as a musician or as a fighter. And if you're not making adjustments, if you're Almeida and you keep your head on the center line constantly, you're going to get fucking clipped by a 135 or they're fast, I don't think it's rocket science, but I'm just not, I'm not impressed with people's lack of, the things I love about like DJ or TJ for that matter is this thirst. We've talked about it a little bit, this hunger for knowledge. It's so important, man. Knowledge is power in the literal and in the abstract,
I want to switch it up, promotions. I want to talk about the Red King has got a gold belt wrapped around his waist.
What up?
He had to go through adversity to get there. That shin. It looked like somebody stuck an armband in his shin. The hematoma from the leg kicks from Lima. But Rory MacDonald gets the gold. Douglas Lima, I was surprised with his tactics somewhat. He sat back a little. But then when the leg kicks really started paying off, I thought Rory was in trouble. Rory, just how it wasn't the classic like Lawler MacDonald was, but there was that viciousness in that fight as well. Yeah. Douglas Lima, I think, as much as he lost, I think he would get like Rory MacDonald since has said it's the hardest fight he's ever had. He was the toughest guy he's ever fought. Considering the list of names on Rory MacDonald's CV, that's pretty impressive. But how impressed were we by Rory MacDonald, both in the fight as showing getting through the adversity and dealing with that and getting on and getting the win?
Speaking of versatile in game planning.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Rory exemplifies that.
Yeah, it's a different level.
He's fought 2 guys in a row that are very heavily... Lima's a black belt on the ground, so that's not fair to call him a striker, but he's most dangerous as a striker, right? He has dynamite in his hands. Rory didn't seem afraid to strike with him. He did well. Rory's got a fantastic jab. But he was smart with it. He was smart with his striking. Rory shoots singles like George used to shoot doubles. Notice that? There's this crazy speed to it, and he gets them a lot. Gets them a lot. His level change into his single high C, and he does the turn the corner kind of takedown. Like Weidman's really good at that too, off of the single. And Lima just, to your point, kind of was content to stay in full guard. From everything I've heard, as far as if there were scouting reports, actually there probably should be, he has a really good close guard. Really hard to pass, good submissions from there, but Rory's like a very high-level black belt. You just never see him in a gi. I don't think he's ever even put one on, to be honest. Not that I know of. But he's a black belt. He's a legitimate black belt. And you saw it. you know, and his ground control and his perseverance, like you said, is when you get a hematoma from calf kicks, can you imagine what that feels like? Oh, yeah. One hurts. One. His nose looked like it was fucked up again.
Yeah, the nose.
Right? Like a re-injured. And that guy, he's just so game. God damn, I'd love to coach a fucking guy like that. Yeah. Just see what I could do. You know what I mean? Because it's skill, it's athleticism, but it's intelligence, and it's bravado, gusto, heart, whatever. The things that Firas will tell you can teach. I don't know if I agree with him on that. I agree with him on probably everything else. Rory looked awesome, man. I mean, that was a good fight, and it was close. I think it came down to that fifth.
Yeah,
but Rory just showed, and Lima didn't show me the same moxie. You know,
is Rory MacDonald the best welterweight in the world? He's beaten
MMA Matt.
He's beaten Woodley.
Yeah, I know.
Yep.
Probably.
Most people's argument to that would be that Woodley has grown exponentially. I don't think he has. I think the Wonder Boy fight was interesting with Rory because he was on the way out and he was fighting a little reckless, almost like on purpose. He's right there.
Yeah, he's right there.
He's right there.
Yeah. Good performance though.
Yeah, Aaron Pico. Starting to build that hype train is on the road.
That guy is he's incredible. He's
that liver shot from a distance.
Yeah.
That wasn't like he didn't have a collar tie on and then ripped it.
Yeah.
He threw that like open field, if you will. Open field striking. Yeah. And he just leaned in and just ripped.
Yeah.
There's so much on that. That kid is a savage. What does he fight at? He's smaller, right?
45. Yeah, 145 featherweight.
145?
Yeah.
And they say his wrestling is like
insane,
off the charts.
Yeah.
But man, that power is savage. That's a scary dude. That is a scary kid. And I think he's a kid. I think he's like 20.
Event. Yeah. Just to touch on the main event, Chael Sonnen, Quentin Rampage Jackson. Chael Sonnen's boxing looked really good in the first.
Yeah, it did, yeah.
Dewey Cooper. Yeah. Used to be. Yeah, he used to work with Dewey too.
He was saying
Chill's always understood boxing well. He's a big. I know Chill. I know Chill to some extent. He'd probably tell you one day that we're best friends. The next day he didn't know me. That's how he is. Chill trolls everyone constantly, but he's a big boxing fan. So it doesn't surprise me at all.
And Quentin Rampage Jackson owes him $30,000. He took him down 3 times.
Exactly. Well done.
And a takedown bet, right?
Yeah.
I'm frozen on this.
Yeah, but it's an amazing frozen.
You
couldn't look more redneck if you tried. Yeehaw!
Oh, it's awesome. Look at those fucking cheeks like an 8-year-old. Very handsome. Fucking awesome. Anyone have any ice cream? Ice cream! I want ice cream! I'm going to make fun of myself. Look at this fucking doofus. I just need a unibrow to complete the cycle there. Jesus. Take that shit down.
Turn off your camera.
Oh, this is your new profile picture. This is this week's
fucking rough week.
This is this week's obviously Fight Talk episode 99 poster. You're back. Brandon, it's great talking with you. Hopefully,
that was amazing improv. That wasn't planned somehow.
Great talking as always, getting your knowledge on the fights and the breakdowns. Hopefully Volkan will be in touch with you soon going forward with the camp.
I'm sure he will.
But that was the secret. That was so hard to keep.
Yeah. Just wanted to shout from the rooftops.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. But
I bet.
Yeah.
I always thought the first time that I, had daily check-ins with someone to work with, it would have been like a Duke guy or a Firas guy or something like that. But with Volkan, it's like next time I'll fly down. Yeah. That's got to be the difference.
Yeah. How did it come about? Just a random call?
He got in touch with me through social media, and then I gave him my phone number right after the MSG fight with George.
Very good.
Because I think he knew me and knew how I kind of fit into all that. Yeah. So he got in touch with me through Instagram, and we went from there. Cool. Gentlemen, class act. It's all good. We'll figure it out. Next time I got to go down there for a camp. Even for a couple of weeks. And that was the one thing we talked about off air that I'll say on air. This isn't about Volkan. This is about everyone. Ngannou you could put in here. We could put Almeida we talked about. I really think people need to start at the highest levels of the UFC. Unless you're an absolute specialist grappler like DC, you can get away with that. You really can when you have a chin like that. But he can strike. It's not like he can't strike.
Yeah.
does that make sense? You can't not grapple. And if you need to work on your grappling, you need someone, not strictly a kickboxer helping you with that. So interesting.
Well, it's like to use
but
your
nothing but love for the guy, man. He fought his heart out. It's not about that. It's just I wish I could have helped more.
To use your NFL analogy, like you have a head coach of whatever enter American football team in, but he doesn't tell the kicker how to kick, and he doesn't show the quarterback how to throw, and he doesn't tell the receiver how to catch. They have specialized team coaches for that. So that should be the case in MMA as well. Great analogy,
Yeah, exactly. That's a great way to put it, because you have striking coaches, grappling coaches, right? Yeah. So if we narrow it down, there's many more. There's going to be dietitians and shit, but basically it's going to, as far as skills, you're going to have some type of striking, some type of grappling. You need someone that understands both running your camp.
Yeah.
That's the best way to sum it up. I'm glad you said it that way, because there's plenty of guys. Bill Belichick for Patriots are my team, hometown team. Since I was a little kid, not an bandwagon. He's a defensive-minded guy, right? But he knows how to hire the right offensive guy. So with me, I'm not a jiu-jitsu black belt, but I'm pretty good on the ground. But I've trained. I haven't worn a gi in 10 years, right? So I'd hire someone.
Yeah.
You know your limits.
Yeah.
If I do as a coach and I know where I need some help, I would think as a fighter you do too, But I'm sure there's more opportunities that are going to come from this. I love working with fighters. It's always been my favorite thing to do. So we'll see.
Cool, my man. Well,
awesome.
keep the phone on, keep it charged, because it will be ringing. And thanks again, my man, as always, joining us here on OFT. Pleasure talking and just picking that brain of yours, that big, beautiful brain. With them rosy red
big
cheeks.
Mick melon on me.
Mr. Dorman, take care, my man.
Later, guys. Love you.
Cheers, man.
Love you too.
Yeah, love you too.
Love you too.
Yeah, never say it back.
Yeah, Dan always does it as well.
I know. Yeah, we never say. It's a real Irish thing not to say that back.
Yeah, it's like,
isn't it?
I want to say, whatever.
Yeah.
When the lads are around me, like,
yeah.
When your missus rings and you're with the lads, yeah, you too.
It's
and all the lads,
it's like the wind-up merchants. A few friends of mine, if you haven't watched them, check them out on YouTube.
Check them out.
Hilarious. There's this one that they do where it was a guy in the pub with his mates, and his girlfriend rings him up and was like, "I love you." He's looking around at his mates, and I'm looking at him like, what's wrong? I was back in a minute, and then he runs, it's like so far. It goes on for about a minute of him just running, and he's like, love you too, and then it's all her mates going, you're gay.
Classic Irish, not showing emotions whatsoever.
Yeah. And he jumps off the cliff.
Yeah, so this has been 99, Robin, Fight Star Ireland, you've been with us a long time.
Yeah.
We're nearly on a landmark. MMA
100 next week.
You've been with us a long time. You're obviously good because you're with obviously Fight Talk. FeelSupreme.co.uk. He's came on a bit late, but he's got on the hype train before we took off the station. But 99 has come to an end. Next week it's 100. We're no longer in the double digits. We're in the trebles.
Yeah. Some podcasts, you ever see when they do like episode 1 is episode 101? We can just pretend it's that. It's first episode.
A long time ago we started this.
Yeah.
I actually got a pop-up during the week on Facebook. Our first guest was this time 2 years ago, King Cowley. The 20th of January, because remember I was flying off to Thailand and I was like, let's do a show.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll ask Keen is Keen around.
Yeah.
I think it was just an SPG a couple of months. So King Cowley was our first guest, so that was a landmark show, our first guest in studio in the radio of the Maid.
Yeah.
We might talk about this a little bit more next week. Reminisce.
A few stories or something.
So tune in next week. Me and Rob will be sitting in a rocking chair talking about
with a pipe.
Well, back in my day, back in obviously Fight Dog episode 2.
And we're suddenly southern from the United States.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
But this has been 99. I've been O'Keefe. He's been Palin, not Palin. I used to call you that when I first met you.
Yeah.
You've been you. You've been special. You've been beautiful. Always remember, don't believe in the hype train.
Believe in the hype.
Gets derailed.